Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have back with us Alan Masri, who's the founder of Safe Money Income and Insurance, and we'll be talking about navigating retirement with confidence. Alan, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I know that this is something that's super important because number one, people tend to put off planning for retirement until it's later. And then if it's later, they're making some snap decisions that they're not really confident about. So talk a little bit about where you start working with your clients to make sure that they have a good, clear blueprint and plan in place to give them that confidence so that they can navigate to and through retirement.
Well, it's an emotional journey, from working life to retirement. And, retirement is often seen as a reward after years of hard work. But again, it's emotionally, the transition can be very complex. So for many, it's not just about leaving a job. It's about leaving behind a routine, a sense of purpose, their identity, and social connections. That's a really, really big one. So, I'm just going to get into some of the, emotional challenges that people have. So let's look at loss of identity, for example. Many people define themselves by their career. When they step away from a career, it creates a feeling of like, who am I and what do I do now? One of the biggest ones I see in this is law enforcement officers. They really struggle with this. Another big one is, the loss of structure, without a daily schedule. Some retirees really struggle with how to spend their time, productivity, and life doesn't feel meaningful anymore. You know what I mean? And another big one is the social isolation. As you know, when we look at our elderly population, they are somewhat socially isolated. And what I try to do is, try to provide or show them how to get regular interaction. And, so they don't have that loneliness. So, we try to, show them how to look at new social outlets, and develop them. And then, the anxiety about the future. A big one is the worry about the health, the aging, and again, running out of money can cast a shadow over what's meant to be a joyful time. So what we do is we try to position them with products and investments that, and I shouldn't really say the word investment. Let's say financial products that will help them, stay balanced, and knowing that they have a steady income every month. It really helps in many ways, and there are vehicles out there that we do use to help them achieve those goals.
You mentioned a couple things that I want to dive a little bit deeper on because I think it's something that people only think, oh, retirement, do I have enough money? Where's my investments? All of those things. Well, identity, sense of purpose. You spend X number of years, decades working, and then all of a sudden you throw a party because you're retired. Well, 6 days later, you're like, maybe I'm bored. Maybe I don't have a purpose to get up for it, to go to work and punch the clock. And maybe I don't have certain goals. And that can really affect their lifespan. I've heard some research that says, oh, wow, if you don't have a purpose or something to live for with your work and you retire, all of a sudden that can really shorten your lifespan. Have you seen that be like a concern for some of your clients as well?
Absolutely, I have. I could tell you, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I have a lot of, again, federal employees, but the postal employees in general. I'd work with a person 2, 3 years later, the spouse would call me, say, hey, so-and-so just passed away. I'm like, what happened? He was very healthy. He was great. What happened? She's like, all he did was sit home and watch TV all day and just, eat ice cream, drink sugar drinks. He never got involved in anything. I can tell you firsthand, that plays a major role. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, look, find something you like, and volunteer, because that I do that here. I do that on a
Yeah.
consistent basis. I do that quite often. I probably spend more than 20 hours a week volunteering. And when I what I tell them is when you volunteer and you do something that's you're helping others, it is so rewarding. It makes you feel so good because that's my personal experience with it. And I see that so often where people just isolate, they don't really get involved. They feel that, things have changed so much for them that they just don't know how to even go out there and do it. So I try to make recommendations to them. I give them names of organizations where they can volunteer. If it's religious, if it's a medical setting with children, whatever it is. And the ones that actually go out there and pursue that, they do very well in retirement, very well. The ones that
Yeah.
isolate and do the opposite, they don't tend to do very well. It's
And,
unfortunate.
and you mentioned charity and nonprofit. I mean, there could be some people that go, you know what? I took my month or two off, and I'm kind of now I'm going to start that little side hustle, that little side business, or something, even some consulting to where they can maximize their mind that they still have fresh. But I think that that's a big thing that probably you have the conversations with your clients of not only.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.